Mm. Can't wait to have my lunch, some good old mac and cheese. At Marvel, did you put Josh Gad in this? You're lucky that still tastes good. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Wonder Man Season 1, Episode 3, Pacoima, I think is how you pronounce it. But another very solid episode, and once again, the friendship between Trevor and Simon is really what carries this show. I mean, the back and forth between them when they're sitting in the apartment, both of them just delivering quotes, it's so interesting to see the back and forth, to see how both of them love performing so much that they're willing to just pull out random monologues that fit the situation, but also allow them to portray a character for a second, because it's what they both want to do. But that bond of friendship is really the strongest part because there's so much behind it, but it also builds up to that final scene where not only does Trevor decide, I'm going to break the recording device, but then also Simon gets a text saying that they've both been called back for Wonder Man, which is just such a great feeling for both of them, really. And I think that's a great way to end this episode because most of the episode is just really hard to get through. You've got that very uncomfortable feeling of being around your family, especially when you're somebody who is not as successful and you have family members who are more successful. Going around that type of family, it can be difficult. And I can't lie, I definitely relate to a lot of what Simon's going through. So a lot of this, it was a little painful to relive, and culminating into that speech that Simon has with Trevor in the car, where basically he just says, maybe I just need to accept it's never going to be me. I 100% have felt that multiple times. I mean, part of why I'm doing YouTube in the first place is because it's just a creative outlet for me to express myself with. Whether it's coming up with funny little bits for these reviews that I do, or whether it's what I'm doing on my Let's Play channel, this is my way to get some sort of acting out there because I want to perform. I want to be creative. So yeah, a lot of this probably hits a little bit more for me because of the fact that I have been in the same situation. I can relate to Simon as a character, but I'm sure other people as well, they've dealt with the same sort of family drama where they're the odd one out, they don't feel accepted by their family, they have other family members looking down on them because they're not successful. A lot of people can relate to that, even if you're not an actor. Something else that I thought was very effective in this episode was showing Trevor and the dilemma he's caught in, where he's trying to both help Simon, but also keep himself out of jail. I do think the dilemma that he's caught in, it finally caused him to snap a little bit in this episode. The couple of times where he's asking questions of family members and they're just not giving him anything. And so he kind of snaps back at him a little bit. I do think the problems that he's dealing with are very interesting and what they lead to in this episode. Like I said before, him deciding to break the recording device. It's a nice win for Trevor, and it shows he truly does care about Simon, and he probably sees him as not only a friend but also a younger version of himself. So I think they've done a very good job of capturing that camaraderie that the two of them have, and I really do hope that if they are going to have a moment where Trevor does get found out for what he's been doing working with this government agency to try to track Simon and his powers, I hope that breakup of a friendship, I hope it doesn't last too long, because that's typically what you see in stories like this. You'll see that friendship fall apart, and that's not really something that I want to see happen because their friendship is so strong and such a great part of this season so far. So we'll see where it goes next, but with all that being said, on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now episode 4, Doorman. What a great episode. I mean, to not only show who Doorman is, but also show why people having superpowers in Hollywood is a dangerous thing. It fits together so perfectly. I think they did a really good job of capturing his story in a short amount of time. I mean, it's only, 30-ish minutes? And I think they did a fantastic job of showing us how he gets his powers, which, yeah, is a little coincidental that he just happens to find this random puddle of something outside. But he gets his powers. You can see he's just a good guy who, he's in Hollywood. He's sticking around because he enjoys just being the doorman. But seeing how this world of Hollywood slowly broke him down, showing the life of an actor that gets that 15 minutes of fame, but without the proper talent to back him up, everything kind of faded. And we've seen this from several people before. They get that 15 minutes of fame. You think about all the internet celebrities But the people who do something that's honestly kind of stupid, and then they get their fame and fortune, most of them tend to try to take it further than that. Some of them do try to have acting careers, and while Doorman didn't do anything stupid, he just got powers, it was still something that it gave him 15 minutes of fame, but it wasn't sustainable. And so because of that, because he didn't have an actual foundation for building a career as an actor, it was all inevitably going to come crashing down around him. I do kind of like how there are elements of other movies in this, because honestly the talk show kind of felt like an homage to Joker a little bit. Now he didn't have like a flip out on the talk show, but it definitely was seemingly the beginning of his downfall. He goes on this talk show, gets made fun of, gets basically propped up as a joke. And I think from there, that's kind of all he was ever seen as. He was never really seen as a true actor, just a guy who got powers and happened to get in with Josh Gad, and that was it. He didn't have anything else outside of it. But also a little bit of maybe a reference, I don't know, but definitely in my opinion, a better version of what we saw in Ralph Breaks the Internet. The whole scene where Ralph is seeing the comments and he starts to doubt himself, definitely got a sense of that here, but it made a lot more sense. Because at this point, he is a celebrity, so his image to him does matter. And it's part of why he starts to lose himself, and then of course right after is when the talk show happens and he basically gets made fun of. So I thought it was a very good setup, and where we see him go from there on, it is the type of downfall that you would expect. Starts doing goofy commercials, that's all you really see him in. Then he gets caught up in a scandal where he promotes this product that then causes problems, and now he has to come out and apologize for it, and he's just at the bottom of the barrel. And so when that opportunity knocks again with Josh Gad calling him again, it is the perfect time for him to do something irreparable, which in this case is Josh jumps inside of him and disappears, which I will talk about Josh Gad a little bit more in a second. But I think it's a great place to leave off on. It's something that does make him seem almost like a villain to the eyes of the public, causing the disappearance of another actor, maybe even killing him. I mean, it's something that for a lot of people makes them go, whoa, don't want anything to do with this guy anymore. Now everybody wants to study him, figure out where Josh Gad went. And it's just, for me, the perfect showing of why Simon's life is in danger if his powers get exposed. I think it also shows why he doesn't want his powers to be a part of him outside of just being found out. Also, the fact that that's not who he is. His powers don't define him like they did for Damar. Without his powers, Damar was nothing. He was just a guy who was happy in his life, and that's great, but the powers are what gave him the fame. Simon doesn't want that. And I think it's great to show the dichotomy. And I do get the sense that Damar will be coming back at some point. I don't think he's going to be a villain. I don't know if that would make sense, because how would his powers work? But I do get the sense that somehow he is going to play into the rest of the season. And I'm curious to see how. But let's talk about, of course, the biggest talking point I think in this episode, which is, of course, Josh Gad being involved. Admittedly, he did have some funny lines, so it's not like I hated him being here. It was a little distracting, though, to have an actual named actor in this. They also have a lot of references to Frozen, to the Book of Mormon, to the live-action Beauty and the Beast, so it's just pretty distracting to have a known actor like Josh Gad. And yes, I know Joe Pantoliano. I know he was also an actor, but Josh Gad literally played Olaf and LeFou for the same company that's now making this. As far as I could see, because I did do a little bit of a search on Joe, he's not been involved in something heavily Marvel or Disney related, so I don't feel like it's going to be as distracting for your Marvel viewing audience. This was, to be perfectly honest. So, was it a mistake? I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what the overall audience reception of this was. Again, he did make me laugh. I thought his line about, I can't act, but look at me, I'm an actor, I thought that was really funny. And I will say the setup for him inviting Damar to be a part of this movie called Cash Grab, I thought was a little on the nose, but it was very funny. So I think on the whole of it for me, it did work. It was distracting at times, but I think I still enjoyed having him on here because it did add a fun element to a couple of the scenes. Although him seeing a remix of In Summer in the Club was definitely the most distracting part of this episode. But anyway, with all that being said, that'll do it for these two episodes, so cue the outro. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that review. I hope you enjoyed it. First and foremost, please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I love having discussions with people, so whatever your thoughts were, whether you agree or disagree with me, please leave them down below. Obviously, no spoilers. Also, if you did find yourself enjoying this review and you want to see more, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I also have a gaming channel as well as a channel where I talk about soccer, so if you want to give those a follow as well, that would be much appreciated. And lastly, if you want to help me improve upon the quality of these channels, I do have a Patreon. All of this is in the description below. With all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace out.